Hey there, you filthy flapjacks. You're listening to the Ear Coffee Podcast. For today's episode, I got to talk with three-quarters of the indie rock band Goodnight Gorillas. They recently released their latest record, Splash, a hook-filled deep dive into living with mental illness and the many daily anxieties that come with it. The band shared their origin story, plus insight into the album's creation and the sonic variation across their discography. Here's our interview with Joe, Shun, and Jake of Goodnight Gorillas. Welcome to the Ear Coffee Podcast. Today I am joined by 3 out of the 4 members of Goodnight Gorillas. You want to introduce yourself, guys?
Yeah, I'm Joe Graves, and I play guitar and vocals.
Hi, my name is Shun Matsuhashi, and I play bass.
I'm Jake Brown, and I play guitar.
And your fourth member, Connor, he's the drummer, correct?
Yes.
He is dearly departed and could not join us today.
God. Wait, he might be.
If they don't show up, I assume that's the only reason.
By the time
why
this
else would
airs,
you skip? Yeah. By the time this airs,
He will be dead.
Okay. Usually with interviews, especially with bands, I don't think you guys have done any interviews, at least I could find online. I like to start chronologically and just kind of get a feel for you guys' like journeys with music and as a band. So starting off, how did you all get playing music? Like whether it's like your first memory of playing piano or something, or just like when you're in high school and you just want to pick up a guitar and impress a girl or something. I don't know. Just, how'd you get started?
Oh, okay. So for me, my family was very into music and stuff. I have 2 older brothers, and there's like a 10-year gap. So the oldest, Matt, played guitar and like in high school or middle school, high school, and was in different bands and stuff. So I was always around that and like listening to different like alternative music that they were listening to. And I think that was kind of my first introduction. I remember there was a moment where I had to decide if I wanted to do band, like in elementary school.
The 5th grade
decision.
And
like figuring out like which one I wanted to do, like tuba or saxophone or whatever. And I decided like, I just want to do guitar. And so
should have picked saxophone. Come on.
I know. I thought about it. That was close. But I was like, I'll just take guitar lessons. That seems cool. Like, and so I started in like 4th grade taking lessons and started writing songs like pretty soon, once I could learn the chords.
Yeah.
I was never really too much into like the technicalities of it, but just kind of learned the basics.
Yeah, more kind of like as a machine, like as a way of presenting your songs and kind of like more mechanical and within, not like going all Steve Vai or
No. I was never interested in that part of it. Yeah, it was more so like the songwriting. I was very like into the Beatles and like Weezer back then, and just like kind of catchier stuff.
Yeah.
Really interested in like chord changes and stuff. So I just kind of was into that for a while, and that's kind of my first memory.
Yeah. Favorite Beatles song out of curiosity?
I like
at the moment.
I like
it changes.
She Said.
Okay, that's going.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next, whoever wants to bite the bullet.
Yeah. My musical career began as a trombonist in 5th grade.
Hey.
Back to that big decision moment.
We got another trombonist in the room right over there.
But the moment I left high school, I didn't pick it up ever again.
Yeah.
So that ended. But I'd say in terms of like guitar and stuff, like 7th or 8th grade, I loved Guitar Hero, you know?
Oh,
and that honestly is like the reason I started playing guitar.
That's the best reason.
Yeah, I just love that shit. I was like, this is so fun. Like, what if I could do it for real? That was me. That's my story. And I started by getting lessons in about 8th grade, maybe. And I had the same teacher that Joe actually had.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which is weird. And you. Wait, are you serious?
Oh, that's so weird.
That's right. Yeah.
Forget about that.
Bizarre.
You didn't know each other at all at the time?
No.
That's hysterical.
None of us. I might have known of you because I think we went to middle school together, but we didn't.
That's middle school.
That's middle school, you know. Yeah.
So
when did you start doing
funny.
bass?
Yeah.
Just
because
of the band?
When the band started with Joe and Connor kind of jamming, I hopped in. I was like, fuck, I can play.
We needed the
I
bass
feel like that's how every bass player starts.
Yeah.
Literally like, I guess
You're a
I'll.
guitarist who gives up. No, I'm kidding.
No, I mean, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're doing the underrated work, so
I'm just
underappreciated.
Yeah, that's me. So, yeah.
You need the mic there.
All right, do a little transfer. I always wanted to play guitar as long as I could remember, but I think it was first or second grade. We started looking to try and find like lessons, and for some reason nobody would like take me without piano experience.
Okay.
Yeah, it was weird.
I kind of get that like on an intellectual level, but that's still kind of stupid.
It's like get the theory so I ended up playing piano for like 3 or 4 years, taking lessons, and kind of forgot that it was all for the guitar thing. And then in 7th grade, I was like, wait, I can do this now. So I started playing guitar then, and that was kind of like the start of it. And then did like choir and all that stuff in high school. But yeah, played a lot of guitar in middle school and high school, and kind of went from there.
How did you guys get together as a band? Clearly not during middle school guitar lessons, even though it could have happened. Because I think you joined a little bit later, correct me if I'm wrong? Okay.
Yeah, I've been a year and a half now.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original band lineup started when we were sophomores in high school. Yeah, like 2012.
Okay. Ooh.
And that was me, Connor, the drummer, who's not here, deceased. Just kidding.
Let's double down on that.
By the time the stairs. And Sean. And how that kind of came about, Connor and I, like, were kind of lived in the same area in Egan, and we grew up, like, I knew him in elementary school. Like, we weren't really friends, though, but we knew of each other.
Passive awareness,
Right. Went to different middle schools, and I remember in 8th grade, I'd been, like, playing guitar and wanting to, like, join a band and do that whole thing. And I remember seeing on Facebook, like, a post from him. Oh, we're looking for a singer, like, for our band. We're going to do, like, auditions. And I was like, oh, man, this could be my opportunity. I remember having, like, a real, like, existential crisis. Like, I could do this. I don't know these guys. Yeah, I'm just, like, pacing in my house. Like, do I do it? Am I good enough? Like, all right, I'll go over there. And I remember, like, I commented on the post, or maybe I direct messaged him or whatever. I was like, hey, yeah, like, I'm down to do this. And I think he was probably like, oh, that weird kid from elementary school. All right, whatever. So then, like, I remember I, like, walked to his house because he didn't live that far away. And they, like, gave me a song to sing. I don't even remember what it was called, but yeah, some emo song. And I sang it, and they all just kind of watched me. And then they're like, had a little meeting in the room next to me. And
my goodness.
I just, hear
no
them.
idea. That's
Really?
so weird.
Yeah, and then they came in, they're like, all right, you're in the band. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Wow.
They had to take a vote.
Yep, kind of.
Oddly democratic.
It was for show.
Yeah.
It was a little bit for
okay.
show, I think. Yeah. But wanted to impress me, like, oh, they had it all figured out. But yeah, no, little did we know. Yeah, so I was kind of singing / maybe playing guitar in this band called Refuse to Be Forgotten for a while.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Did not get big. Did we? I don't think we did at all. I remember playing a few shows, but not really knowing what was going on, and like so terrified stage fright wise. And that just kind of fell apart at some point. People would kind of leave that band, like the bassist and the guitarist, and then it ended up just being me and the drummer Connor. And we would just kind of continue to do our own stuff, and we were listening to other stuff like Radiohead and like getting really more into like that alternative stuff. And I was like trying to influence us to go in that direction. So we would just kind of jam, and I'll do all sorts of weird, fun, like stuff, kind of experiments, and it was like great. But we realized we might need like a bassist at least. Ooh. I don't know. There were conversations of like, is it gonna be just us two? But I don't think we never played a show. We never wanted to do that. So we were like, we knew of Shun from a different band.
I started a different like metalcore band in like 8th grade. This was my first band, 8th grade freshman year. And there was a point where we wanted a singer / pianist or a
Kind of a screamer too.
Kind of screamer.
Like the clean vocalist and the scream vocalist.
No, that literally was it.
I think he was supposed to sing though, because Corey was doing the screams and stuff.
Yeah.
But it didn't really work out too well. He kind of had our first gig at the garage, you know, the classic.
Yeah.
And he just like wouldn't sing or something. And you're just like,
I remember watching that. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe was there, I think. Yeah, so.
He looked cool though.
Yeah.
That's the most important.
He looked cool.
Music. Just
Yeah,
So,
music doesn't really matter.
Eventually we kicked him out. And then I think brought him back, and then also brought Joe into our band. This was like
Yes, before
after?
This was
Refuse?
after we had done the Refuse to Be Forgotten. It was just Connor and I kind of figuring it out. And then, Connor's like, oh, yeah, there's this band. Like, do you want to do like the clean vocals? Like, so I joined. And I remember coming to one of your guys' house, and I did kind of an audition a little bit. I was just like singing some random stuff just to see if we could like gel.
And he blew our minds. Seriously. He sang this song about a Chevy or something.
Or there's like a license plate. I was like trying to figure out a song and like, Chevy parking only now. I still remember it. Yeah.
So good. Freestyle.
Basically.
Literally, it was in our heads for weeks. So we're like, oh, for sure, we need this guy.
Oh God, I just still remember at that point, like I feel like our jams were just so like we barely practiced.
No, it was more of a hangout.
It was a hangout
and
thing.
So Corey's like grandparents own like a Chinese restaurant. So they'd like every other practice, they'd bring like a shitload of food just for all of us to feast. And it was so cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it was
Good
really
incentive,
fun.
yeah.
Did you ever experience that?
No. I was really only in it for like, I feel like 2 weeks. Like it wasn't a long thing. I just remember that was kind of my introduction to you, kind of. Like,
yeah. Right.
Through that, I met you, and then...
And I played guitar in that.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
And then once that kind of, not fizzled out, but I don't remember, did we come to you? Because I remember coming to you separately.
Yeah.
When Connor and I were doing our thing, we're like, we need a bassist. And we're like, hey, because we're like, would you want to join our band? Were you in that band at the time? Or had that?
I don't remember. It was kind of shaky. It was on and off.
Yeah.
Because there's this thing where it was with, I don't know, a mix of people that we were going to start a new band. It was going to be really exciting. It was like with Aaron Foreman, and like this, I forget what his name was, but he was some like super emo like influencer. Like he like had a following, and he was like gonna do vocals, and it was gonna be this big thing, but then it like didn't work out.
Oh,
it was weird. But then I think right after that is when I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so I went to high school with all these guys.
So did Nick.
And Nick did too.
We all went to high school together.
Yeah. And like I was aware of the band and all that, and like Joe and I had done a project together senior year of high school, and like we had jammed a bunch of times, like weird side things, and like nothing stuck until that, and like we were very much like circling it. I feel like for a while.
Yeah, like we loved jamming together.
Yeah,
I think we knew that. We didn't know exactly what. Yeah, we did this project Zenwood. It was called, and it was just the two of us, like acoustic guitars and like singing and doing a bunch of harmonies. Like, weird.
Like weird.
Oh yeah.
Mathy acoustic, like emo. Yeah,
it was like fun. A nice departure from like doing all the rest of the band stuff. Yeah, it's the first time it was like playing with another guitarist and vocalist too. Like that was really cool.
And then they all went to the U, and I went up to St. John's for school up by St. Cloud, and so like kept in touch, but like not around. And then senior year over like winter break, we jammed. Just kind of randomly. I don't even think we were planning to jam. It just sort of happened. And
that was when I had gotten back from London.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And we were all just going to kind of like hang out and catch up, and ended up jamming. And then we ended up like playing this like riff that was super fun. And then we were like, okay, let's like try that again before I go back. And like, sort of just became a thing where then I was coming down on weekends to jam. And like, I don't think it was on my radar at all that was like happening when we hung out.
Kind of getting indoctrinated into the band almost, drinking the Kool-Aid.
Oh, really? I for 100% was thinking that, because I remember writing a bunch of stuff, and we would text when I was studying in London. I was like, we'd talk about like jamming. We got back, and I was thinking like all this stuff I was writing, like, oh, it'd be kind of cool because it'd be pretty guitar driven. Like I could see that happening. So I remember that first jam, just kind of like trying out some stuff just to see like how they would go.
Yeah.
And we like loved what we were doing. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is so fun.
Like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, but we never really officially talked about that.
No,
but I think we both kind of knew in the back
happened.
of our heads, and you just kept coming back. And
And then once we all graduated and I moved back to the cities, it was kind of like off to the races. And it was like,
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's the saga.
It's definitely a saga. Wow. So it's rare, I guess, for local bands to like stick together, because you guys have been together like almost, I think, 8 years now in some configuration.
Getting there for sure.
Yeah, like just looking up, like even through like your recorded like Bandcamp back catalog of like first album was like 2012 or 13. It's like, what?
Yeah.
That's insane. How have you guys kept with it? Because it seems like you've just been doing it for your own sake, which is a very noble motive, of course. Is that the case, or like just the bonds of friendship keep you together? So.
I think that's actually seriously pretty much it. I think the fact that we were friends, like in the beginning, all of it kind of started with the no. Like when we started,
on my part.
we weren't.
We were friends,
but we weren't friends in the beginning.
You heard it here first.
Like it's weird because the music brought us together in some form. That's like how we all knew each other. But then it quickly became like, oh, we're very good friends, and I think the band became kind of secondary to that, rather than that being like the thing. Like it just turned more and more like the longer we've known each other, the longer we've been doing the band. It's like
like you're friends who make music, not music who made friends. Or something.
Exactly.
That worked
exactly.
better in my head, but,
No. But yeah, it started like music first, and then it kind of turned into like we're just like the best friends now.
Did you guys, with the initial couple albums, you don't need to delve too much into it. Did you record that like at home or something, or did you actually like somehow get access to a studio as like high schoolers?
Oh no, the first projects we pretty much recorded everything like at our house, besides maybe some drums. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. But yeah, all on our own. Connor had all the like the recording equipment and stuff.
He's always been into, because he had like lessons on like Logic and stuff for like several years.
Seriously?
Which was cool.
I didn't know people taught that. That's cool.
Yeah, it was at the Apple store.
Yeah, they do Logic sessions.
Yeah, so he like was really into that.
Yeah, that's sick.
So yeah, he kind of, without that, I don't know if we wouldn't have been able to do all that. But
right, he made it possible.
He was pretty.
Thanks, Connor.
Thanks, Connor.
Yeah, may he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. We'll never forget him.
When you guys were recording Contracts, I think I remember I came over once and we were gonna jam for Zenwood.
Yes.
And it turned into like, because it was all in the basement. It wasn't like cutting things together. It was like, okay, like Joe's gonna play guitar, and then I was like on my knees, like hitting his pedals to like do the transitions.
When you're gonna debut that setup live, you're just like at his feet.
Wait a minute, that'd be pretty great.
It was like, wait, I have to hit 3 pedals. I have 2 feet. Jake, get over here.
Wow.
Yep.
So you're up until Splash, your most recent releases were one of the most, just even before I even heard it, like a single second of it, just one of those like strangely ambitious projects, and that's Don't Stare at Me.
Yeah.
A 3-part EP based stream of conscious musical, in your own words, about the romanticization, I don't even think that's a word, of love.
I don't think so. Yeah.
I don't know, word got angry at me and kept on underlining it. So just
Sounds
going
good,
back
though.
and listening to some of those songs, I think I got 2/3 of the way. I got through 2 of the 3 EPs. They're just really just these insane, diverse collections of songs, and like there's like some more like jazz influences at parts.
Yeah.
And like some songs that almost felt like kind of like more emo Ben Folds in some ways. Whereas Splash is very straightforward, I think. And I do not in any way mean that as a negative thing. It's just like the song, the sound of the album is pretty consistent. Just pretty like just it's indie rock, like pretty through and through. And like the lyrical topics are still like personal and emotional. But they're not all like hoity-toity, like conceptual. At least on like from if someone hasn't like heard any of it, like they just hear, oh, it's a stream of conscious concept musical. Okay, what?
Right.
Was the decision, if it was a decision, to make Splash pretty, like I'd say like calm waters, where it's like Don't Stare at Me was like a stormy ocean or something. Like, was that a conscious decision to like, or a reaction to this 3-part experimental odyssey that you just made? And you're like, no, we're gonna make something just kind of like a palate cleanser almost.
Right. Yeah, I think definitely coming into Splash, like when I was starting to write songs, it was all of Don't Stare at Me. All I cared about was like transitions and just like what that
just
means.
Keeps going.
How things can flow together. And I was just writing like a bunch of snippets of things that like I started to like piece together, and I like wanted to find some sort of narrative that like made sense. And then it just kind of kept growing and growing, and like we were all living in the same house, and it was just kind of this weird thing where we jam on like little sections, and then like it was almost a game of just seeing like how can we like piece all these weird things together.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it was very musical based, very piano based too, with Nick.
For sure.
And Nick we found out was going to North Dakota, in Fargo, to study math.
Okay.
So we kind of knew that, which was, shout out to Nick. But it was tough because we knew we wouldn't be able to play a lot of that stuff live when he was gone because it's so piano based. And like without that, like it's difficult and challenging.
Yeah. Like someone has to like learn all of those parts. And
there's no way, just because of how that was written, like to figure that out, I would never put that onto somebody. Like, so it'd just be a nightmare. So kind of realizing that, and I don't know, thinking, what do I want to do next? It was kind of a thing. That whole thing was like transitions and like narrative and all this stuff. I was like, I want to go back to just simple verse, chorus, verse. It was like, that was almost a nice like exercise in trying to do that. And then coming back to like, I can just be like minimal again and just like write a straightforward song. It was like different and kind of weird.
I think the other thing too is like, Joe and I both did semesters abroad in London back to back. And I think for both of us, it was very like a lot of like English music, like the Beatles and things like that. And like appreciating the simplicity of that.
Yeah, especially like the early stuff.
Yes.
And, like,
the early beat.
The British invasion.
Yeah. And kind of figuring out, like appreciating the simplicity and accessibility of that music, but also bringing in kind of the emo or mathy or whatever you want to call it, like tone of the previous music as well, and kind of a blend of influences that.
Yeah. It was a lot of like coming back to the roots of what I was like always listening to. And I think this record kind of blends a lot of our past stuff into it kind of sounds like the first record we did a little bit, called Book About the End, like in terms of like the structures and like the pop aspect of it. But I think there's themes from different EPs and albums that we've done. And I think when we've played it live, people have said that too. Like, oh, it sounds like you guys have kind of like put all the different projects
kind of consolidated everything.
Right.
With the songwriting in general, do you like write your songs, write your lyrics, and then come into the rehearsal space and say, hey guys, got a new song, let's figure something out? Or do you kind of each come up with like your own little part, like, okay, can we put this in a song? Oh, hello. Can we put this in a song? Like, is it more communal, more kind of just, you're kind of like the fuel, or like the fuel on the fire?
Right.
How has that worked? And has that been, I guess, different for Splash, since it's not that Don't Stare at Me was not a band-based album, but it seemed like your vision was kind of what drove it. But this is just like, it's a band album. It's, you all have your parts.
Yeah. I'd say this was very straightforward. Like most of these songs, I had like the core progression, maybe not even lyrics. Like lyrics usually come later for me.
Okay.
On and off. Like I'll have like phrases and stuff. I like those words.
And like have like a notes thing in your phone.
Right. And like for this one, I just had like a bunch of songs that a lot of them written when I was in London and brought back. And then I'll just show it. We'll get together. Sometimes one-on-one, like Sean and I will just be jamming, or Jake will come over and like we'll just work on some stuff, or just full band, we'll just like go for it. And then we just kind of take it from there. And it's a lot of trying things out, trying different like drum parts. It's like a lot of experimentation and like getting angry about like how many times we should do stuff, and getting like very, it's like funny to think about that, but like we really go through this editing process, which I think is like the best part. It's like so fun to do that stuff. And we record it and then we listen to it and then we record it again, we listen to it again and like come back.
Got like 150 takes for each song.
Oh, probably. Like in my voice memos. Yeah. I'm constantly recording stuff and just like seeing what feels right. Yeah.
It's funny too, because I think some of the songs were things where we jammed them like a few times and we pretty much had it. Like
kind of like sharpened it.
And I mean, they fine tune a little bit, but pretty much it was there. And then a few of the songs have been through like,
oh my God,
probably 5 different genres. Like they've changed so dramatically. We have like the musical theme or like the riff or whatever, and then trying to figure out how to build the song out around that. Like,
Okay.
yeah, it's either I feel like we try
Very
a
easy.
bunch of things, or it's like just
And
a
like
snap song.
some of the final versions on Splash Now of some of those songs like went through this whole thing, like the genre thing, like tempo, bringing it down a lot, and then we ended up just bringing it back to the original.
Yeah.
Like Go Figure and Doctor, like those songs are just it's funny to think about.
Yeah. So you said Doctor. Is that one of the ones that went through all the evolutions, kind of?
We just had a
Or-
hard time figuring out how we wanted to play it, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I went through the evolutions.
Yeah. What stylings, if you had like, I guess, force genre tags on each of them, how did it get to where it is?
It started very like Brit,
Like low key
like
Beatlesy
kind of fun, bouncy. Then it went into like a not
like a fast punk.
fast punk version, kind of like really high energy, just like fast, like
like
I
heavy
wanna hear you
guitars,
guys'
the
punk
whole
album.
deal. Yeah.
might be next. But yeah. Which is funny though, because I think about it. I think about every time we've done a project, we kind of go in a like different direction. And it is thinking like, okay, now we've done these songs, which are a little more straightforward, poppier. Will the next thing be a fast, aggressive? I think
Another,
that
like,
kind of
kinda,
makes
like,
sense.
Deep dive into off the deep end into some new sonic territory that we haven't heard from you guys yet. Or
Exactly.
something.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to think about, but I don't know, because we'll get bored of these songs, like you always do when you record these, and then you're playing them, and you're like, all right,
shut
we
up and
wanna
play the
do-
hits, come on.
Yeah, I know. Play the hits. It's,
Yeah. So, 3 words. Obviously, the lead single got the music video treatment and everything. Mm-hmm. That's pretty straight. Like, it's got like some good lines that kind of acknowledge maybe like, oh, is this actually like a mask for something deeper? But also, it's just funny. It's just a really funny song.
Yeah.
About your Wi-Fi router being down and being afraid to call Comcast and whatnot. If you haven't listened to the album or the video, because the album will be out by the time this episode comes out. Was it conscious to kind of keep that one like moment of explicit levity, like pretty much like almost like not like Flight of the Conchords, Tenacious D comedy rock, but like it's like it's a funny song, and the rest of the songs are still within like the same wheelhouse. But there's the more personal maybe, and like the more there's a lot of like emotions there, and like they just sound more like, okay, this is what you'd expect from like a band writing just songs, like they're writing about like a specific topic, and they're not trying to be kind of funny. Was that like a reason that you kept that one like 3 words on there instead of putting on like another song that was more like in line with the kind of emotional
Vibe of the rest
vibe
of
of the other ones? Like, I love the song, so I'm glad you put it out. So maybe that's just my bias talking. But was there a decision in that?
That song, that was one of the first ones I wrote in this grouping. But when I wrote it, it was like 2 years ago. I didn't have lyrics for it. I just had the guitar chords and kind of the vocal melody. And I remember writing it, and I said St. Vincent is one of the influences. I was trying to like write a St. Vincent song basically in terms of that, like just like power chord, just like kind of consistent. I don't know. I liked the rhythm of it, and it just always kind of stuck around, but I had no idea like what the hell that song was about, but I really loved the melody and I loved the chords. And then eventually, like a while later, I don't know how, I just thought of the idea of like the 3 words and then the
Like
Wi-Fi,
the trope.
trope. And once I had that, I was like, oh, okay. And I just wrote all lyrics like in one sitting. I was like, oh, this is it. And I like changed the melody for certain parts. I was like, yeah this is funny. But I also thought, I remember like writing and thinking like, oh, the guys will probably just think that's stupid though. So I probably like won't sing about this, but I think it's pretty funny. And it was like a really short song. So I was just like, it made sense to do that. And in terms of it landing on the album, this album was for sure a little bit more just like which ones were our favorites, kind of.
Okay.
We didn't care too much about the like overall narrative. Like I think we did that so much on the last one. They were just kind of like, let's just like put some fun ones that we like to play live on the record and like see how they kind of flow together. To be honest.
Yeah. What was it like doing the video for that? Working with, I think Calvin is his name.
Yes.
And then obviously Nikki from In Lieu is in there.
Yep.
Just talk a little bit about the experience of coming up with the idea and of shooting it.
Yeah, well, we we tried to shoot it once before.
Like the full setup and like everything?
Well, but a different concept.
Different place.
Concept. Okay.
Same
Place.
idea. We were going to do the whole router going down.
The whole storyline. Like,
But it was kind of a nightmare the first time. We weren't going to do the single shot
Yeah.
Right.
concept. But it just like wasn't working
it really didn't work.
No.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, we tried to do it once, but I mean, it was like the concept of it was so easy because we're like, all right, I'm literally saying
It's like a narrative.
it's a narrative, and from the beginning, I was like, oh, I can see myself like singing the words and then having somebody else sing the other, part of the conversation back to me. I thought that would be like a cool thing to do.
For sure.
But it was just like, how do we do it? And then we tried that thing, and it didn't work. And we're like, but I then remember because it was at my brother's house, and he was like, oh, well, you guys should do it as like a single shot. Like it's a short song. Like, why not just do it if it's all taking place like in a living room? I was like, wait, yeah, that's a good point. And then
Literally from that, we were like, well, maybe we should.
yeah, and then we would test it. We would run through it in our living room, like
yeah.
trying to figure out like how could we do it, and like Sean would record me and our roommate Nicole. Like
Post that at some point.
we should like
It's funny.
Like a behind
that actually
the
would be
scenes.
funny. Like the first draft.
Yeah.
Like album comes out tomorrow. Here's the B-roll.
Here's the B-roll. Yeah. So, yeah. But the experience of filming it went really well. It was super. Kelvin was amazing.
Yeah. And I know I've worked with Kelvin on various like video projects in the past. So, and I know he's amazing to work with. So I asked him to help, and he was totally down.
Totally down.
And I was able to like run through, and I knew the song very well, so I felt confident. But then even Nikki like killed it, like because it could have been a nightmare if we just kept messing up. But it was great.
That's kind of reassuring. You worry when you see like these one shot videos or movies.
Yeah.
It's like that's so much planning needs to go into that.
Right.
It must have been really stressful, but if it wasn't, that's awesome.
It was, but it was like good stress.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
Yeah.
the bad, like, oh, this is not working, like we're screwed.
I feel like if anything, we'd get through a take and we'd be watching it back and we'd be like, this is amazing. It would be cooler if we added this other piece.
Yes,
it wasn't
exactly.
like fixing mistakes. It was like, wait, let's take it to the next level.
Okay, that's
and then
awesome.
like
Yeah.
redo the whole thing. But like,
No, you're right.
worth
Yeah.
it.
You're right. Yeah. It was so
And,
good.
The whole router fiasco where we only had one router that we bought from a
break?
thrift store to break for the
no.
last scene.
Yeah.
And we're just terrified. Like, we have to go all out.
I know.
you
and
have
like
to-
if there'd be an error, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, we have to get a new router.
We
Yeah, like,
really
that
had to
was
make
it.
sure like everything was good to go.
And we're
before
like
I
on
could
the
do that.
street, so we like couldn't keep like being loud with the drums. We're like, this
Yeah.
has
Like
to
a
be
cop
done.
drives by. just-
Yeah, like
It
it'd be
was,
over.
yeah, it was kind of stressful, but,
But it worked out. So
The first time that you hit the router, it like flew across the sidewalk, and I think all of us, it was like slow motion, like that was our one. It's like gone, like shot's not gonna work. What are we gonna do? And we like you
Yeah.
saved it, but it was.
I
Like,
say, no, I
so
remember that. I
scary.
was so scared.
Everybody was like, "Oh shit!"
Yep.
Bringing back to the album as a whole, what is each of your favorite moment? Like musical, lyrical, whatever, just like your favorite part of Splash. It's just the neighbors. Got some interesting neighbors here.
I think phase one has some of my favorite moments, like the whole second chorus to the end of that song and how that kind of climaxes is really fun to play live, and just listening to it, I think worked really well in the recording. Yeah, that's probably mine.
oh man. I think I'd probably say Go Figure. I don't know. I think it's just so fun to play.
Yeah.
From the beginning, I was like, we should make that our single. Like, that's sick. After we failed the first time, shooting
yeah.
3 words.
Yeah, we were
I
like,
was
we
like,
gotta do something
I
else.
like
Yeah,
this song, but
that's a fun
yeah,
one.
that's
Yeah.
me.
I think Danny has been the standout for me from the
closer,
beginning.
nice.
Yeah, I feel like that one just covers so much ground musically, like starting really quiet and sort of
Yeah.
jazzy, soulful, and building into this huge, just like
Yeah.
banging ending. I guess I don't know. That one's been my pick from the beginning.
Yeah.
This is kind of a random side note question that came into my mind, especially based off of Don't Stare at Me. Do you have any vocal training? Because at least on like those, you really go off in like a lot of like different styles and like,
Yeah.
or is it just like natural talent or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I never took voice lessons. I did choir for
choir?
a year,
Okay.
senior year. But that wasn't really lessons. It was more so like
Yeah,
just singing
You're
along
just
to
performance pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think just I've been
Doing it for long enough.
practicing it, yeah, for the 9-10 years now that it's I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of reassuring. It's like you're not like some secret like vocal performance major that just comes
No.
out and, like,
Oh, God,
I'm
no.
gonna take my vocal talents and use it for indie rock.
No. No.
Where did you guys actually record Splash? Oh wait, no. Yeah, you did share your favorite one. I was like, did we forget you? Don't want to do that. We forgot Connor. Yeah, re-record
favorite?
later after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah, where did you guys record it? Was it with like an actual producer? Is it someone you've worked with before? I guess. Were there any other collaborators on the album, or is it just the core?
Yeah.
The Fab Four.
The Fab Four, we actually recorded in our basement.
Okay.
Just us. And we took like 2 days and probably did all of it live besides vocals. And we kind of had a strange process for recording though,
Okay.
where we recorded all of the guitars into the computer so we could mic the drums, without getting all the additional like noise from the amps.
Yeah.
And then we would play back our guitars through the amps and like reamp everything. Spent a lot of time doing that and getting like the right like tones and stuff. So it was strange to like be recording myself, not playing, but like being able to mess with everything and the pedals and stuff.
Well, and this was like classic us trying to figure out a process, because this was another one like
Oh
we
my
talked
God,
about
yeah.
things going through different genres or things for songs. Like we recorded probably 3/4 of the album in an entirely different way before
True.
we were like, this is a nightmare. It's not working at all. Scrapped the whole thing, deleted the files, started over. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was another thing, just like sample recordings. Like, okay, what if we move the mic over here? Like,
Oh my God,
do,
yeah.
do we do a click track? No click track? Like, just so many things, like trying different.
Oh yeah.
It was a big journey to get to that process.
Yeah. That's true.
It was probably
A lot
few
of
weeks
experimenting.
trying different.
Oh yeah,
ways
at
of
least.
recording.
Yep.
Have you guys always recorded stuff yourself, or have you ever worked with any like in a studio? I guess it isn't just like the setup
Yeah.
in someone's basement.
Yeah, weirdly enough, for Don't Stare at Me, we recorded at Adam Tucker's studio, Signature Tone Recording.
Yeah, and then I just remembered you guys worked with Eric of Remo Drive.
Yes.
for
Yes. Melt Velvet Dreams.
Melt Velvet Dreams, yeah. And then Ollie Jafar, who actually we just Joe just had on the podcast, mixed it.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Maybe just talk a little bit about like those two experiences working with
Outside.
non Goodnight Gorillas. people.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say, okay, from the beginning, we never mix or master. So we
Okay.
always started, like, we would record ourselves, and then we had Adam, I think, from the beginning, master our first
very beginning,
thing.
okay.
And we're like, okay, that was like, he was awesome. That was cool. It sounded great. And then,
Okay, we got internal conflict. Don't know.
internal conflict.
We're good.
Yeah, and then I think for the next one, we worked with Ryan Mock, who is in a few different bands, and we did drums with him, and then still did like guitar, and then he mixed.
He didn't master.
I don't think he mastered either. I think we went back with Adam. So yeah, it was like a lot of like kind of collaborating for certain things, and then with Melt Velvet Dreams, Eric helped us with recording and like setting up the gear, but it was in our house again too. Like
Yeah.
we didn't go into a studio or
Okay,
anything.
yeah, I don't think he has a studio or anything.
No. So it still had that feeling, but it was nice to have somebody there to like help set everything up and just like let us know like what's working, what's not, kind of stuff. And oh yeah, we did demos with him too. Remember that?
Oh.
Yeah, he helped. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And then Adam Tucker was the next when we went into the studio. That was our first like studio experience, which was like
Well, only time
insane.
we actually tried.
Yeah. No, that was super. It was like super nice because it
Yeah.
was not as chaotic, but it was also like extremely stressful.
Oh yeah, especially with like the monetary aspect. Just like we paid for
Right.
so much time. We have to get this
Right.
done, and with such a like conceptual, varied album, that would be like kind of hell.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think after that, I think we just wanted to do it ourselves again. There's like this weird thing. We've done it so many times where like it's fun to kind of get it right. It's kind of like when we're trying to like edit the songs. It's just like, I don't know. There's something.
It's a squirrel.
Oh yeah, nice.
We're all like, what?
Squirrel. What is that? Yeah. So
it's just kind of again back to basics with the
Yes.
songwriting, with everything, and hopefully that'll be a breath of breath of fresh air. Sounds negative, but just it'll be nice, like kind of like a warm bath you can sink back into.
Exactly.
For
Yeah.
any decade fans, I don't know, people who have been like fangirls and following you guys around for 10 years.
Yeah.
So you've talked.
No. Sorry, I have nothing to say.
I'm interviewing you. Okay.
I literally don't remember what I was going to say.
I'm sorry. No, it's fine.
No, it's okay.
You guys have talked a lot about just highlights from shows and how fun it is to play specifically these songs live. Whether it's in this era or previously, and this can be totally different for each of you, what's the best gig you guys have played?
Ooh.
I'd say like best in a different way, but like playing. We got to play Spring Jam and just playing on a massive stage, even though there was absolutely nobody there.
Yeah.
Were you like
it was
the 3
so
p.m.
fun.
slot or something?
Yeah, we're the
Yeah.
3 p.m. So just like our friends, and like that was
so
weird.
like they had
yeah,
that massive screen and like
That's sick.
it was pretty, and
That's
it
cool.
sounded so good.
yeah,
I bet.
yeah.
But that was fun.
I don't know. I think in the recent year that Ice House show comes to mind, which we love playing there, and that's where our release show is going to be.
Ooh.
Because we've just had great experiences there.
Yeah.
And Ryan Mock does sound.
Ryan Mock
who
does
we've
sound.
worked with.
It sounds so good. Yeah, that's maybe one of those shows was great. I remember.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one too. There was like one Ice House show in particular. Like we all just like felt really good about where the songs were at that point.
Yeah.
Like, I had a bunch of friends there. I think our families were there. Like
Yeah,
it was just like it's such a fun mix of people, and sound is always killer there. Like everything
It's a-
just kind
it's a
of
cool venue,
clicked
yeah.
that night.
This is a kind of random question again, and I just got thinking about it because of the Ice House. How do you guys know the dudes from Stone Arch Isles?
Oh, Phil?
Yeah, or is it just Phil, or do you know the entire band?
Well,
Because we saw them at Ice House once.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's just how my mind connected the dots there.
I think maybe the first time we played there was with them, right?
Okay.
At Ice House. We played with them like way back in like 2016.
Okay.
We were doing Melt Velvet Dream stuff, and we met them through there. And then I worked with Phil
Okay.
at Fast Horse, which is an ad agency. And so I kind of got to know him better through that and kind of became friends. And then he'd ask us to play on more shows with them. And it just kind of developed through that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just fun little side note. That's
Yeah.
cool. Especially since you guys have been at it for so long, I wouldn't necessarily call you guys like scene veterans because that sounds like you're all like 40 and washed up, which you clearly are when you start in high school and it's just pretty recently graduated college like last couple of years. What is your view of the Twin Cities scene as a whole, whether it's just like the bands you guys are playing with, the bands that are kind of getting to be more popular, the fact that most of the artists that have gotten more popular, with the exception of like, I guess Remo and Hippocampus, are like R&B and hip hop artists. Like they're the ones that have been blowing up. How do you guys like think you fit into it? How do you view it currently, I guess?
Yeah.
I feel like we're kind of lucky where I think our music covers kind of a lot of ground, whether like beginning of Danny is kind of more soulful or we have some heavier songs. And so I think we've been lucky enough to be able to hop on bills with a lot of different kinds of acts.
Yeah.
So I think it's been fun. Like we've gotten to know a lot of people, but as sort of an outsider coming into it in the last year and a half or so,
Yeah.
I've been just blown away by like the amount of talent here and how welcoming and friendly everybody in the scene is. Like, I don't think we've had a bad experience playing with anybody. Like, it's just been a blast, and
Yeah,
like,
that's
everybody's
true.
super supportive. It's been awesome.
Yeah. I was just going to add to that too. I feel like every show has been like different people. I don't know. And it's changed so much since we started, to be honest. Like it's crazy to just know like how many different bands there are that we don't even know, and how many different scenes there are. Because I feel like when we started, we didn't even have a scene. When we just play at like the garage, and we were playing with like either metal bands or playing with like pop bands. We never really felt like
Love
we
those
fit
weird
in.
bills.
Yeah, like very strange bills for a while. But then we kind of joined I don't even know what you'd call that scene, but like the household. Like, yeah, Remo Drive, like them, Pierre.
Pierre, okay.
Victor Shores.
Yeah.
Infinite Me.
The Como Cabana.
The Como, that whole crew.
Yeah, Infinite Me. We played with them a lot. Yeah. Kind of like our scene for a while. End of high school, middle school. And we still play with those bands.
Yeah.
A lot. I just think it was a lot of house shows for a while, and then even through college too. Like that was kind of where the scene was at. And then now that we're older than 21, we were able to like the bar scene, like venture into that and kind of like.
Yeah, I just remember for years and years through high school, we just, oh man, I wish we could play bars. Like that'd be so cool. Like we just couldn't wait until we were old enough to play bars and like change.
Was it worth it? Was it worth the long years of waiting?
I think so. I mean, it adds a whole nother level of like where you can play. Like you can actually make money from like those gigs where we never did before.
Paid in like food or beer or something.
Right. Yeah, and my older brother Matt plays still like in like 3 different bands right now, and he's. I think we always kind of like. I always looked up to all those bands and like his scene, and he runs Undercurrent Minneapolis. I don't know if you know.
We do.
Yeah, so
I've always every gig. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. So he, I think just like watching when we weren't 21, I'd just watch all those videos of all these like weird acts, like punk acts and stuff. I was just like, oh, this would be so cool to like. I think we always wanted to play with those bands, but I felt like we could only play those all ages shows really for so long. So it's cool to finally be able to like play with, I don't know, at those places with those bands that I've always like, I don't know, really admired and stuff.
Well, I like ending the interviews with a kind of all-encompassing, just personal question. What have your favorite like albums lately been? Like, what have you been listening to? It doesn't have to be local. If it is, sweet, we can plug them on the podcast. Otherwise, if it's like something totally like a national act, that's cool too. Just like, what have your like favorite songs and albums been recently? Like when you sit down and you like want to listen to a song just for fun, like what is that?
Right now I've been listening to a lot of Tool because
it's back on.
It's back on. Yeah, I've literally just been listening to those records right now. I know. So that's been kind of great too.
One thing that comes to mind is just Parquet Courts, Wide Awake. It just it's the spot for me. It's just so good. Yep. So that whole album, I'm always just in the car.
Always bumping, yeah.
I'm feeling good. Want to feel good.
Yeah. Even all the songs about like existential climate dread.
Exactly, yeah.
You're like, wow, but the bass is so good.
No. Casey Musgraves, I don't know.
We've been
shout out
digging that a lot. Yeah. Fucking
very different vibes. I'm just imagining like Parquet Courts and next to Casey Musgraves.
Song.
What would that show look like? Oh my goodness.
Yep.
I feel like I've been on a big Bon Iver kick lately with the new like album hype now. Yeah.
Yep.
That and Shaky Graves.
Man, I just saw Tame Impala.
Oh, you did?
He was here. So I've been on like another Tame Impala kick recently. So good.
Just seeing like pictures of, like the light show. I'm just like, oh my god.
Oh, the lasers. It was insane. Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. It was
thanks for having us.
Pleasure talking to you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. The joys of 2 microphones. There we go. Awesome. Thank you guys.
The Ear Coffee Podcast is a companion to the blog of the same name. If you like this episode, please leave us a rate and review so we can stand out among the other music podcasts. You can follow us at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @EarCoffee. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.